On this week's Fast TV, we visit Aberdeen and Northern Marts near Inverurie in Aberdeenshire for a beef update and learn more about holiday-let farm diversification from the McKinnell family at Garary Farm, Wigtonshire. We hear from industry expert Sarah Balfour, a beef consultant with SEC Consulting, and catch up with Aberdeen and Northern Marts auctioneers John Angus and Tim McDonald to hear their updates of the current market conditions within the beef industry.
My name is Sarah Balfour. I am a beef consultant within SEC Consulting Livestock team, and today we've travelled to Aberdeen and Northern Marts Thainstone Centre for a beef update. So in recent months, throughout June and July and into August, we have seen a significant fall in the finished beef cattle price. The reasons behind this include lack of consumer demand, as more families holidayed abroad, low import prices, and just the sheer amount of beef in the system contributed to a drop in the beef price. This price drop came at a bad time for many finishers who were offloading some of the expensive bought store cattle from the early spring sales. So recently, processors have had to lift prices in order to secure cattle. The current beef price is sitting around 4.80 per kilo dead weight. The back to school demand and tightening cattle supplies as spring 2021 born cattle become less and less, and the young bull peak season is now past, mean that numbers are getting scarce. With beef prices trending upwards, the recent spell of good weather, meaning that harvest is fairly well done, things are looking fairly positive, and finishers will be looking to fill sheds and attend the weekly store cattle sales. Over the past 18 months, many farmers have taken advantage of the strong cull cow prices to improve herd efficiency by culling out underperforming cows. The volume of suckler cows culled is a concern for the industry. Tenancy, succession and grass availability are all contributing factors to cows being sold. However, there are herds which have simply reduced or dispersed due to the high input prices. Although feed and fertiliser costs have returned to more reasonable levels recently, margins remain tight across many farms, with other inputs such as vet costs and labour still remaining high. And it's likely, going forward, that input costs and the market volatility will put pressure on businesses.
I'm John Angus. I'm Head of Livestock and Lead Auctioneer here at Thainstone Agricultural Centre in Inverurie. Current trade is pretty good, it's very positive. It is, like today, our averages is slightly back. There's a more mixed quality, good cattle still at the top. We've been having very good shows recently, but today was maybe more a mixed show. They're slightly back. We're still 41 pence up on the ear, so equivalent, that's about £200 per head. And it's looking good going forward for the stores. Prime prices moved up over the last 3 weeks from a low. It dropped over 50 pence. It's now started to go up, and the numbers of the prime have dried up. And I think the factories are looking for cattle day to day to continue to fill their markets. So it's looking very promising. Lack of cows, lack of numbers as well. It's going to be tight for store numbers going forward because cows keep going away. Okay, we'll start autumn calves here in a fortnight's time. A lot of quality coming out, and yeah, there's going to be certainly I would hope there could be a £200 increase there. Springbound calves, for me, will be promising because they were a bit depressed last year. So the guys got a good return at bottom last year, so hopefully they're getting out to spend to reward the producers because we need them to be there, less none is a job. The store trade, I anticipate it is going to get stronger as we go through the back end. Once the harvest finished, the men will come out and the price hopefully will keep rising.
Hi, I'm Tim McDonald, Prime and Cull Cattle Manager here at Aberdeen Northern Marts. The trade today has been 210 pence a kilo on average for our cows, an average of £1,540 per head for the wholesale average, which would be up about 10 pence on the week. Trade compared to this time last year, cull cows are up about £203 a head from September last year till today, and they're actually up a amazing £400 from September 2021 till today, which has been a tremendous increase. There's been similar trends to last year on our cows, on our cull cows front. We've seen slightly less cows this year due to last year the price rocketing, and a lot of farmers took the opportunity to tidy up their herds. So we're back down now to what we would have seen in 2021 numbers and that. But it seems to be very much now, if a cow's not performing or not doing her job, she's worth as much here in the ring to cash, which will bring in a heifer, which will get replacements quite a lot cheaper. I think the trade for cull cows demand will continue to rise. The demand for processing meat is ever increasing in the UK, and we're seeing a lot of different eating habits and changes there. So I can see the trade can staying very strong actually. I think we're in quite a good position. Supply and demand, I think numbers can help the trade to increase even further. The advice I would give to farmers, if they're sitting with cows which are well fleshed and that, is probably just to cash them in now. They're as good a trade now as what they will be, and I would say cash them in. You're getting as good opportunity now to get them cashed in.
For more information and to keep up to date with beef market trends and prices, please refer to the Farm Advisory Service website, where you will find a monthly edition of agribusiness news, which will include a beef outlook.
Neil and Shona McKinnell, along with their young family, run a beef and sheep enterprise at Garary Farm near Whithorn, and have recently diversified and converted their 2-bedroom cottage into a holiday let. We caught up with them to hear more about their journey and some of the work involved to introduce a short-term holiday let to their business.
The history of Garary, my grandfather bought it in 1954, and then father took it on, and now we're here. We breed cattle and sheep. We've got 180 sucklers, Angus and Simmental. You can see some of them in the background. And also got 300 breeding sheep.
So the boys have got a keen interest in the sheep, and Craig has got the Texels. So they've got maybe about 14 or 15 females, and they've got 8 tops for sale this year. He sold his first tops last year and did really well with them for his first ever go. So next week will be dressing day to get them ready for market next Friday. So we also dabble a wee bit in commercial cattle just for showing purposes. I'm slowly but surely getting Neil round to liking the showing.
Very slowly.
So we tend to buy in the odd calf either springtime and take it through the summer, or buy in it like this time of year and show over the winter. We've did pretty well this year with a wee bullock that we've got. He's got a few first prizes. So
the cattle sell offspring. Some of them are straight off the mothers. The majority are at a year old, and then some the following spring. As well as that, we do keep some pures, some Angus and Simmental, with the idea we'll breed our own bulls. Alongside the farming enterprise, we've got a holiday let cottage, and it started in July 21 and it's doing really well so far. So there was a tenant in it for the last 20 years, and he went out in the end of 2019. It was in need of modernisation and tidied up. We set to it, we got a builder involved, and we had to go back to the walls right out through. When we were doing that, we were able to change the windows, put the proper insulation in. As we were doing that also, there was 4 chimneys, and you wouldn't believe it, but there was 4 chimneys in the wee house. We took out 3 of them and resurrected the 4th one for a log burner. As we were doing it, it was going to end up with a nice finish, and we thought family members have advised us about holiday lets. We thought, well, why not give it a go?
when we started working on the cottage, when it was available, we were thinking what we would be, we were wondering what route we were going to take. So speaking to family members who have got similar cottage, they were able to kind of explain the pros and the cons, and well, looking at this area, you've got the sea right in front of you, you're a very rural area. They were suggesting that we tried the holiday let side, and then we weren't really sure how time-wise, like work-wise, it would fit in with like our day-to-day work on the farm. So we had also considered, you know, another long-term late, but we got an agency just to come and have a look, and as soon as they pulled up at the drive, they just said, you know, this would sell no problem for holiday lates. So we thought from then on in, we thought that's possibly the route that we would go down. So with the new tenancies that were coming through, we were just a bit concerned whether that would actually suit us here or whether we'd be best to go down the holiday let side. But we decided to, you know, try the holiday let. So we finished everything to high standards. The place was rewired. It was, you know, everything was up to scratch, and that's where we decided to go. And the bookings started coming in hard and fast before we opened up. And then just as we opened up, you know, the first guests arrived, and then they booked to come the next year, and the same with the second guests. They've been 3-4 times now as well. So it's just, yeah, it's just all went to our favour, but I think it's this area just sets it. So when we started off, we thought, you know, till we find our feet, we would go through an agency, because they would deal with getting the bookings in. They would financially, they would gather the money in, and then they would pay us, because we didn't really have a lot of experience in any of that kind of thing for bookings, etc. But a lot of people did recommend us doing it ourselves, but I'm not very good with technology, and I thought, no, because websites and things, I'm just not really up to speed with that kind of thing. So working alongside the agency, it's worked really well. And repeat guests, they come back through as direct bookings. So now we've got a right good balance between agency bookings and our own direct bookings, and also word of mouth. People that have been will tell others, and then they'll contact us directly as well, which is super. It's really good. So when we started out, a Friday we knew was going to be cottage day. That's a point to touch on. Even, you know, you can go for any day's changeover, and we were given advice from a lot of people, you know, you should do a Saturday changeover because that was suiting a lot of people, and that's what a lot of others do, a Saturday. But at the start, I knew we wanted to do the cottage ourselves. So I wanted to do the cleaning, the laundry, everything. So I opted for the Friday, which has worked to our favour, because we've had no one ever complain. It's not a Saturday changeover. So always follow your own advice there, like take what suits you. Certain times a year can prove to be more difficult. Springtime here, we're tremendously busy, you know, like with lambing and calving and things. So we've got quite a large window for cleaning, because the guests vacate for 9:30 in the morning, and your new guests don't arrive till 4:30. The agency did try and ask me, you know, to condense that time slightly, but because of the work on the farm, we just can't, you know, you've got to stick to your time scale that we've set, and it works all right. You've got to kind of gauge for any breakages or any problems. Like we've had to call in the plumber just a few weeks ago there, just to a small issue, but that meant it got done before the new guests arrived, and everything was cleaned and tidied up, you know, before they arrived.
It can be a problem-solving day, a Friday morning. You go in and you find something that's not just right, and you've got to have it finished for the middle of the afternoon for the next guest coming in, because it's their holiday.
You want it all right. So, and to travel anywhere here, you're talking Stranraer, which is half an hour, Newton Stewart, almost half an hour to go and get, you know, things if there is any accidental breakages or anything. So you've got to keep your time scale to suit yourself, so that you're still under pressure because of all your other jobs to do, but you need to be able to get it done in time. So it's really important to us to make sure, you know, that everything's kept to a high standard. So Neil doing the grass and the windows outside, I know what's going to be done. You know, there's not going to be anything out, like everything's going to be good. And inside, cleaning the cottage myself is working, and at the end of the day, you know, the laundry can be the flexible part, because it doesn't really need done on the same day, although I do try and get it done, but that can be outsourced if the need arises as well. And likewise, you know, you can advertise to get someone to help, as long as it's to, you know, the standard that we've set.
One point I would say the guests love is the fact it's an enclosed garden. They They can bring their dogs that have never been out of the cities, and they just can wander about in the grass, and they love it, they really do.
They're seeing people coming here and actually enjoying it. You know, a lot of people come here from the cities, they've never ever been up close to cows or sheep before, and having them in the fields beside them, they'll ask you questions about them, about their breeds, their colours, you know, everything. And it's just, to me, it's a great way in trying to get Scottish farming over to people as well. You know, you're really pushing to them, this is where your food comes from. We're beef and sheep production here, this is what we do, and it's just a great way of education as well.
When a lot of guests, they'll maybe come from the cities, they've never looked out the window and they can see the sea and the grass, cows, livestock.
The first thing they see is the view, because you're looking right across to the sea. You know, the Mull of Galloway, Scotland's most southerly point, is directly across. You can see the Isle of Man, you can see the ships going across to Ireland. The mountains of Mourne, a lot of people stop and ask us what, you know, the mountains are in the far distance, and it's the mountains of Mourne in Ireland. But a few people have commented the agency that we go through, the pictures on their website, is coming through the double doors here into the secure garden, but they always think pictures, you know, the pictures don't ever justify what they see, but then as soon as they come in, you know, they can't believe what they're seeing.
They'll bring dogs with them. There's a beach just down the road, and again, they can't believe it's just on the doorstep. It's just a couple of minutes drive, and most are down there every day.
And the peace and the quiet, that's what they say. In the guest book, you'll get how tranquil it is, you know, the peace and the quiet, how they can sit out here with a glass of wine. And we've laughed in the past, we've apologised to guests if we'd at silage at the time, because the tractors are up and down the road continually. We'll say, we're really sorry, you know, how busy the road is. And they'll say, this is not busy. You know, they're used to the M6 or whatever there. Yeah, so it's great, and it's great to meet people and get return guests as well. So if I was to give any top tips that we've learnt, do your homework, do your research, even coming down to like your, you know, the quality of everything. Always try and keep your quality high. Your bedding and things, you know, you're washing these things continually, so the quality and everything needs to be good. And they're paying guests, you want their experience to be good, because you want them to come back and tell everybody about you and whatnot. So but definitely do your homework, even if it's from what day your changeover is going to be, just to make it suit you, so that, you know, things go flawlessly.
Jennifer Galloway from SEC Consulting outlines the legal obligations for landlords for short-term lets.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Galloway and I'm an agricultural consultant at the Stranraer office for SAC. I have a background in tenancy work and I have been assisting clients with the short-term licence that the Scottish Government is bringing in. Many farming businesses in Scotland are now looking at ways to diversify their business to allow for longevity. One of these options is to go down the route of self-catering, as we can see here at Garrary. A point to note though is if you're going to consider operating a short-term holiday let, you do need a licence which is being brought in by the Scottish Government, and the deadline for this is the 1st of October 2023. Failure to apply will result in the potential of a fine up to £2,500 and a ban on operating for a year. What a lot of people get panicked about is the amount of paperwork for the application, but I've advised a lot of clients that the paperwork isn't as overwhelming as they might first seem. A lot of them will have it already in place, it's just a case of compiling it into one cohesive file. The paperwork as follows is what you require. The first is an energy performance certificate. This is a tick by the Scottish Government to move towards green tourism. You also need an electrical installation condition report, and this also will cover your smoke, heat and carbon monoxide alarms and ensure you have the minimum requirement to meet modern legislation. You'll also need a portable appliance test for any small appliances that you have provided with the property. Regarding water, all properties need a Legionnaire's test for the internal plumbing. And if you're not mains water, you'll also need a risk assessment of the private water supply, which can be undertaken by your local authority. You also require to provide a fire risk assessment and also complete a fire checklist, which is provided by Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. You'll also need to provide documents that you have buildings insurance and public liability insurance. And you'll also need to provide floor plans. This can vary depending on the local authority as to the level of detail that you need to provide. Some just require a hand sketching, others require to scale professionally drawn. It's also beneficial to hand any waste contract you may have for the property, and also if you claim non-domestic rates or council tax for the property. As I said, most businesses have this information already to hand. It's just a case of bringing it all together to then submit for the application process. If you are in doubt, please refer to either the Scottish Government website or your local authority website, who will be able to point you in the direction of whether or not you need an application completed for your property. You can also find out more information at the Farm Advisory Service, which can be found at fas.scot. You can also get in touch with myself, who is available through the Scottish Agricultural College office in Stranraer.
Hello, I'm Tim Geraghty. I'm a vet working for SRUC Vet Services, based out of the Craibston Surveillance Hub here in Aberdeenshire. At the minute we're experiencing some very nice early September weather. Harvesting is well underway here and lots of spring barley coming in this weekend, and plenty autumn grass on the go. As a general rule, I think it's been a great grass year, and there's lots and lots of grass still ahead of us coming into the back end. Turning our minds to livestock disease, I think we've quite well covered parasites and sheep scab in recent editions, so if you'd like to see them, please find the YouTube channel and find your way back there. I'd like to talk about the breeding ewe flock maybe now. I appreciate lots of us are busy with other tasks at this time of year, especially in mixed enterprises where we do have harvest to get to, but we do need to turn our mind toward the sheep and the breeding ewes and think forwards towards the oncoming season. At this time of year, from the health point of view, it's a great time to think about looking into your flock for evidence of iceberg diseases. There's a number of ways that you can do this. It's typically done on cull ewes, so older ewes leaving the flock, and especially those that are in poor body condition despite adequate feeding. So if your ewes have been on good grass since weaning and are still under conditioned, then those are the perfect ones to look for evidence of iceberg diseases. Blood samples are perfect, so usually sampling around 12, we can do that for the majority of the iceberg diseases and look for evidence of antibody, and with the advantage that those ewes can still be marketed once they are and sold off farm. For OPA, there is no blood test, unfortunately, so it's typically lung scanning that's done, and speak to your vet practice about whether they can come out and scan the lungs of those ewes. Or if you do have ewes which are in poor body condition, then please consider doing a post-mortem cull ewe screen. This is by far the most accurate way to diagnose iceberg diseases in sheep flocks, and if done consistently over a number of years, will give you an extremely accurate picture of the disease challenges within your own flock. There is funding available through the Preparing for Sustainable Agriculture Fund now for cull ewe disease screening, so please remember that you can recoup almost the entire cost of doing this work this year through that funding stream. We're also just ahead of the main lameness spike in sheep, so infectious lameness, particularly scald and also foot rot, likely to spike once this weather changes, which it's inevitably going to do. So please bear in mind that a lameness review for the sheep flock is also covered by that sustainable fund, and so having a vet out to help investigate incidents of lameness, discover the causes and put a preventative plan in place can also cost you almost nothing this back end. So please think about iceberg diseases and lameness in our sheep flocks. Turning our attention then to cattle, again they're enjoying this fine weather here in Aberdeenshire, and they're enjoying the good grass supplies that we have, and I'm sure most of us will be looking to eke that grass out and try and shorten the winter if we can. They will eventually need to come inside for most of us, however, and please remember that the peak of pneumonia season is now ahead of us. In the next few months we'll be experiencing peak pneumonia challenge. For calves at foot, so springborn calves still at foot, weaning is by far the highest risk period. The combination of weaning, transport, mixing and housing, really a fatal combination when it comes to pneumonia. So please be speaking to your vets now, carve out some time now to plan how you're going to get the calf through those stressful events into the house safely and with minimal risk for pneumonia. A lot of that is to do with separating stress, trying not to compound it all on top of the other, and of course we can also perk up the immune system through strategic vaccination. This is a great time of year to be talking to your vet about weaning stress and about vaccination ahead of housing.